Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show.
It's not about spaceships.
Hi, I'm Jason Ward. Hey, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name, good looking?
I want to be a shill, Jason. I'm not on a shill list.
No.
See, I'm not famous enough yet. Our own listeners don't even know who I am.
That's true.
Why are you here?
Who is
what
this
happened
guy?
to Randy? Yeah.
It's like, this guy, he's been here for like months. What
COVID did Randy wrong, bro. He just aged him 20 years.
Yeah, it was like Total Recall. He like came back with a whole new memory set and thinks he's an artist. I don't know.
Your shelves aren't even fully stocked. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
You like the Phantom Menace cards over here? Like these ones? You can see the TCGs. It was nice.
Yeah.
I like how they got one. They got one up here. Like it's just
that era was like so weird. My drummer worked at Target back then, and he would like stash the figures away for us so we could come pick them up later, but we didn't have cars. So it took us months to get there to get them. Right. And I remember we showed up there one day, and there was this weird time when all of the orange cards had holographic stickers on them. And then the green cards didn't have the stickers, and then they just couldn't get their shit together. And we just came and we like bought all of them, and then like went over to Amazing Comics and just unloaded them like right then, like just transported them from Target to there and got a bunch of money and went back and then bought them and opened them up like normal.
Did you get money or store credit? Because a lot of those places,
yeah, a lot of it was store credit. I used to only get the store credit if I was going to buy the vintage stuff from them. Amazing Comics in Long Beach. I haven't been there in years, but I imagine it's still cool. Not sure. But if you're ever in Long Beach, that's where I used to go. Used to be a sandwich shop next to it that had meatball sandwiches. Used to be pretty nice to go there and get a meatball sandwich and overpay for a buffed Han Solo. The same day.
Yeah, my favorite comic book shop was it ended up being in my hometown.
Wait.
One up.
This doesn't go against the discourse, desires, or wants of one Walt Disney Corporation, does it?
I'm so bad at contracts. I don't even know what you just said.
Then please, by all means, continue.
Okay, yeah. I'm a mark. So they opened up this comic book shop. This old guy did named Glenn, and he called it something. And I think it might have been Action City Comics, but yeah. And then another guy bought it from him named Pat. Pat was from New York.
I've been to Action City.
Pat was great. Glenn was a fine old guy.
Yeah.
Fortunately, kids stole from him. He didn't know how to manage a shop very well.
Okay.
But Pat was from New York. He was great. And he had like the 70s fro still, orange, red hair, dude, glasses.
Sounds
New York
cool.
didn't give a shit about you. Like, just super fucking cool, dude.
Oh, dude, when I was a kid, I was getting chased by some bullies, and I ran into a shop, and this old guy with the hair like that was reading a book. And I was like, can I read the book? And he was like, no. And when he went in the bathroom, I stole it. And I had a magical adventure.
Well, I bring it up because years later in college, the comic shop, he sold it and it went away.
Yeah.
There was another shop near my college called Action Comics that was also ran by a guy with big orange hair.
We had
glasses.
Dave's Action Comics that looked like it was run by a guy who looked like the guy who runs Batman with the hair.
And it was always confusing because they were very similar. And in my mind, I'm like, man, did I make, because you wonder, even though I clearly know I was fucking like in my mid 20s, they're in two different locations. But in my mind, I'm like, am I confusing this? Is this possible? Yeah. So I'm friends with my former art director. We're still personal friends. We've known each other since 2005. Literally 2 months ago, we're talking, and we just realized we went to that same comic book shop around the same time. So he was like, no, that guy's real.
Have you guys ever considered sharing a Dole Whip together at Disneyland? My tickets at Disneyland.com.
Yeah, I could see the look on his face. I'm not against it. I'll share. Like, when I was a kid, look, I was in that when my uncle took us to Disneyland. He was poor, so we had to share. We got the one churro. We all had to take a bite. Like, germs be damned.
Yeah.
So I never got my own anything.
Turkey leg on the floor, and everybody just jumps at it and sees what they get. Here's what you got.
You know, that's actually what he would do with the pigeons. And I'm like, that's good churro, Uncle Dennis. Please don't. Like, I almost jumped after when he gave the pigeons the churro in the, you know, that picnic area that you can go if you bring your own food. They used to have it at Disneyland. Disneyland had this picnic area. I don't know if it's still there. I doubt it. But they really, where you could bring your own food, but they enclosed it in this green tarp with like barbed wire fence, like, and it was super high. So they made sure you couldn't see any of the park, and none of the park could see you.
Undesirables is what we call them.
And you get locked in there with a bunch of other poor families, and you know, just like, oh, I just want to get back. Never seen kids eat so fast. Trust me.
Dude, I should just show up like with my like one of those like over the shoulder like taco bars and just start going like tacos 2 for $1.
What if you take your kids and you just bring mac and cheese and like a hot plate and you just start making? No, we're making our own mac and cheese.
Yeah,
like,
this is made by a hammerhead.
They start crying.
This is a authentic snaggletooth macaroni and cheese.
You look over, Mark Hamill's there just.
Mark Hamill's like,
people every time I come here, they just feed me.
Yeah, well, I'm here. I had a friend, an authentic shill, who got to stay in the above Pirates of the Caribbean. They have like a hotel, not a hotel, like a room, like a motel room essentially. There's like a guest book, and I remember him staying in there and sending me photos of like George Lucas and Steven Spielberg having like written in that they stayed in there, like signed it.
Oh, nice.
I was like, steal the page. It's the autograph, man.
Yeah, I told you the coolest thing I ever did is I got to go into Walt's apartment.
Yeah.
The one above the firehouse for the epic Mickey press release.
Right.
And, you know, they had a shower. And I swear I put my hand right about where Walt's Mickey's would be, you know, like his boobies. I was like, Walt took a shit. And then they were just like, you guys are like so dumb, dude.
Yeah.
You know, but it's pretty cool up in there. I mean, the stuff is it's authentically Victorian because he bought it, you know, for his wife. Yeah. So like the electrical cables are like churro size thicks, you know, like everything in there,
everything's a churro to you.
Everything's food to me, Jason. Like you need to learn that. Like I operate on, is there good food? Will there be good food? Is there possibility of good food? I'm not going if there isn't, you know, that's it.
Well, a Disneyland churro sure does hit the spot, even with COVID-19 raging on. Disneyland.com, where you can buy your ultimate Disney destination tickets.
Do you think they would just like mail you a churro and a Dole Whip? Like, you could like buy it online, they just shove it in a box and be like, there you go.
No, I don't think Disney knows what to do with itself half the time. Like I was talking about before, as an ultimate Disney shill, I can tell you that the left hand never knows what the right hand is doing. And that just justifies any behavior that they want to express, you know, for better or worse, honestly. Like you'll see people who they actively hate. Like, and this isn't any shade on her. What's the lady? I can't remember her name now, but she had like all kinds of like reviews and like, you know, Disney shill kind of stuff going around about, you know, she was like against Disney or whatever. And then like you see her on like a poster for like Ant-Man 7 or something, and then it's funny because I heard about it, and like half of the people at Disney are like, what the fuck is this? And it's just like, you guys don't ever know what you're doing. That's why you guys don't ever make any sense. It's like it's like dealing with somebody who is continually like having memory loss and then getting their memory back. You know what I mean? It's like, what time is it? What day is it? Yes, it was Grace Randolph, who, by the way, I have heard reported before me that what do you call it, was in Cassian. What's his name? Gollum. Snoke. Supposedly she had said it on her stream once or twice.
Okay,
So,
I'm confused. She said Snoke is in there, or she was cast as Snoke?
the actor. The actor.
Oh,
the actor.
Circus.
The circus is back in town.
Yes. So you've caught. You didn't just catch a cold. You caught my inability to remember names, right?
I'm going to be honest with you guys right now. I'm flying high on NyQuil or Dayquil, the orange kind. It's no good. It's all I had in there, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. She said circus will be. So that's where that info came from. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only real thing I remember about
That's not where it
Grace
came from
was
originally. She did it too, is my point. She apparently did it before me, but I didn't know that till.
yeah. So the only thing I remember is she once claimed like Campia was bought out by Disney or Warner Bros. Or one of them. Like, you know, he was a paid shill, and then he got into an argument with. He did a whole video on that. And
Did somebody say paid shill?
oh, she's not on there.
No, of course not. She's
Oh,
not.
come on. Look, anyone that goes to a... Okay, first off, anyone that goes to a premiere for a Marvel movie needs to be on this list. And why are you on there if you don't go to... Well, you went to Denny's, so...
Yeah.
No one's going to let you forget about it.
I got myself into that, by the way. And that's when I was more of a shill than ever.
That's like getting yourself into a prayer breakfast because you really want like instant pancakes. You know, you're like, man, I hate prayer, but
I'm like, you know what? You know, Job's house fell on him. Let's have pancakes. That was my take. You know,
that's what Noah said. The one thing they didn't tell you was all the pancakes that were on that boat.
Yeah,
that's an interesting. Scott Mendelson. Who's Scott Mendelson?
I don't know.
Was he Alex Damon? Okay, that's a Star Wars schmodown dude. Who's Adam Lance? Seems like a 98 Degrees dude. Some guy just named Garcia.
I just want to know who's making who's getting more shill bucks than me.
Oh, Adam Lance Garcia. That's not two people.
Joel's all Pablo works there. He literally is a paid shill.
Yeah.
That was
guys.
That was what I said to you last night.
That's like saying the fucking cashier when you go to Denny's and like the waitress tells you, "Whoa, what do you like?" I like the omelet. You shill. Like, yeah, I fucking work here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, run. The food's horrible. Get out. Like.
or like he's gonna be like, oh, things I work on and actively influence at times to what I want them to be is what I hate.
Well, first off, I'd like to be on the list. Like, no one knows who I am, so I know you're angry that you're on it. I don't understand why it's missing so many others.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not angry that I'm on it. I just am confused by their definition of what a shill is.
I think
because like maybe I've had that problem with it like the whole time. It's like me releasing spoilers since 2014 has not been towing the company line.
Look, the one I remember was 2005 with the Padme's funeral children's book.
Oh, the old one, yeah.
That's the one I remember, the very first one, Jason. I was like, I certainly don't think PR had that in mind.
No, I don't think so either.
So it is funny, like looking at this list of Pablo, I don't know who Hello Greedo is, Karloff, Sanders. I just think the left side is way overstacked compared to the right side. Like the right side, Chuck Wendig and Freddie Prinze Jr. is paid by Lucas. He's a voice on a show, right?
Yeah,
isn't he one of them? Dude, yeah. Then that you can't have employees as shills. You can't.
Yeah.
So
it's a very confusing.
Wendig too. He's an employee. You know,
but,
he wrote
I mean, ultimately, like what it's transparently about is about othering. Is that this group sees whoever's on this list as an affront to their nerd sexual dominance of the discourse. And so,
are you saying you're getting mounted by that in the hoodie?
That's something that I can think. And it's like by all means, if you come and I come, we're good. We're good.
Get off my leg! Get off my leg!
It's fine. If I'm like that guy in Star Trek that had his nuts on his knee, by all means, let's knock knees. But it's it's definitely weird.
What's at chat? Is that a thing?
I think
can you actually talk to like an AI at like?
Well, if you're a millennial, it's AT chat. So let's just get that straight, so that way we don't lose half the audience right now. But it was an honor to be nominated. I think I've lost. When I looked, I was losing pretty bad, and it just sucks because whoever wins,
there's no women on here. Look, I know plenty. Look, what was the show? Forced Toast. They're great. They should be on here though, because they
lady, I think.
Okay, because like if anybody, I think you're on here ultimately because you like The Last Jedi. I think that's why I think you're a shill. So
Yeah.
Force Toast loves fucking Adam Driver, right? Like they should be on there. Like they should have to fight one another.
Watch what you say, because then when they start getting harassed by these dudes, and
Oh
they're like,
no,
you
that's not what I
suggested
mean.
it.
I mean in good fun.
Oh no, but I'm telling you, I'm not pointing out to them, but I'm saying
Forgot about
that
that.
these people will use basically both sides are fucking nuts.
Right. I
That is
forget
my-
one can't have actual fun with this. These people are harassing people.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. My bad. It's Trek Toast. You should go bother them.
I know. I mean, but it's just,
now there's gonna be a Trek Toast podcast. I have to go apologize for.
yeah, and fucking William Shatner's going to be like, look at these Star Wars fans throwing Trek Toast under the bus.
Is it toast in the shape of the Enterprise? All right. So the NCC 100345, whatever. I'm a D Space Nine guy.
Ferengi fuckers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Ferengi.
No, that was pretty much all, as a kid. I pretty much just liked the Ferengi because they were like monster masks on. I was like, cool. But
All right, interesting way to run a site. I guess when they run out of, I guess this is better than them just making up news, right?
mean,
Like completely.
I don't know. How about your existence not be reliant upon things you hate or people who you don't agree with? And you just maybe like spend time doing something fun. Like no offense, but man, I actually really do love The Last Jedi. But Ryan Johnson, he doesn't really come into my brain at all anymore. And I like the movie a lot. Like I don't really think about Ryan Johnson on a daily basis. But
what if you did? You get up and you got him everywhere, like photos of him.
Yeah, it's really, really weird. And it's
here's something you can do.
Reality, though. None of this is like real to them, which is what is extra weird. It's like when you look at this list, you see a lot of people using their real names. They're being authentic on the internet. And then when you look at the people who are oftentimes pulling this, like their names are like Ruin Johnson. And it's like, you know what? You sound like a dick that's been closed in a door a bunch of times. And it's your internet fucking persona.
Yep. When I hear that stuff, it reminds me of people who like would go into your yearbook and like cross out your name and write in Ruin instead of Ryan or some shit, Like
yeah, it's like still at that level. And as a comedian at that level still, I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Oh, so that is Ryan Johnson in the center, right?
That's Ryan Johnson as Sidious, and you could tell it's an authentic Fandom Menace joint because his eyes are glowing red like that with that little Photoshop effect thingy.
Two things. One, I initially thought it was Homeboy from Red Letter Media. Like, yeah. I actually like the dude, the guy with the beard. Yeah. For a second. Two, if you're gonna do graphic design, little tip out there. Fandom, make sure the S and the L lines up with the other W and the S. All right, you can't have uneven fucking lettering like that. They need to actually be flush on the end.
Well, maybe your problem is with Star Jedi, the font, and not with the Fandom Menace.
I remember when you first showed it to me, I was like, I guess I'm the bigger show because I actually took money from him once. I was just like
seeing like what people thought about the Boba trailer yesterday, and I was watching $3 theaters like coverage of it, which is it's good because they're like those Star Wars fans that are like not all only Star Wars fans exclusively. So I was like, oh, where does it fall for those types of fans? And then all of a sudden this came on, and I was just kind of laughing. I on their like stream, I said that Mickey Mouse could sit on my face if he pays me. But they didn't think it was funny. But honestly, I think I think if I eat Mickey Mouse's asshole and he gives me $60, that's
no, Jason, don't do it. Don't you like to do it? Yeah. I made myself laugh to myself yesterday on the way to get my haircut. Mm-hmm. So I'm in the car, and I start doing the Lucas voice. Remember I brought up the Lucas having his own YouTube. So I was like, oh, we're gonna call it Zoetube. Yeah. But then I'm like, oh, but Francis whined about it. Get it? So Francis whined. All right. I know. That's what I do in my free time.
And then they show this, and see, this needs explanation because they are misrepresenting what this is. Me and this person were friends for a while, months, in fact, by this point, in real life, IRL for you internet kids who've never had a real friend. Yeah, and well, she followed this account at Making Star Wars, which is a Star Wars spoiler account. And after several months of being friends, I never really felt the need to converse with her on Twitter since we had text messages together. And with text messages together, there was not really a need. But finally, I followed her back, and she sarcastically said, "Wow, I can't believe Making Star Wars is following me." And I said, "That's normal for a girl your age." She's 24, by the way. And yeah,
Which is a goof on, like if you were, oh my God, Corey Feldman's following me, right?
Yeah, I'm fucking, right? And to her, I'm the guy who we went to Disneyland and ate churros together.
Like George Knapp followed me a couple years ago, right? And if I went, I can't believe on Twitter, George Knapp is following me, and George been typed, that's pretty normal for a girl your age. That'd be funny. Like,
yeah, or even a boy your age.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
you little nerd.
For the record, like that was a joke I have used in my lexicon of
no jokes on the internet from the people who claim they're not allowed to have jokes on the internet.
Well, what I find funny is that if the people that are most likely against cancel culture are the first ones to enforce it.
No shit.
Right?
No shit.
Yeah.
No, I mean, come on. We grew up with that. Did they ever make you watch that video in school about how like they wouldn't let you teach science about evolution, but we had to have the Bible, that whole fucking fight from the 30s or 20s? Mm-hmm. They made a little made-for-TV movie. It brought out the film projector, and we had to watch that.
Yeah.
All the time. And now it's like that's just normal.
Yeah.
So that's Texas every week.
Did you know that Uncle Owen, not to compare myself to that, by the way, but that Uncle Owen was like branded a communist and blacklisted, and like kind of like his first Star Wars was like almost his first American movie back in film in the US. Like he really
because he wanted a national healthcare system, so he was communist instead of a democratic.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what the actual, like I don't know if he just like went to a meeting one time and got a pamphlet and there he got blacklisted. Yeah, Uncle Owen though. That's fucking Uncle Owen, you guys. Come on. But Bill says, I have been away from the scene. Where is Randy? I love the show. Just wondering. Sabaros. Randy's at Sabaros.
Oh. Sabaros. Oh no, that's a fate worse than death.
Yeah, no, Randy is just pretty bored with the old Star Wars. Not really into it. The last couple of things didn't really tickle his pickle. And so by the time
whereas my pickle got what? No.
Yeah, but when we were going with what was the last one? The Rise of Skywalker. It was like, Randy, we're gonna do a podcast. Yeah, I think so.
I was like, boing.
Judongula lives forever in our hearts.
Yeah,
don't worry. Judongula will return. And
I'm classing it up now. No more of those stupid jokes. As I talk about the circle jerk yesterday. Like,
I'm telling you guys, read the footnotes in books. That's where the circle jerks are. That's where they.
Wendig confirms.
Wendig confirms. Yeah. Yeah.
You think he'd punch me through the internet if I photoshopped Doug the dog and went when Doug, right? Like when Doug, like. Yeah, he would. He doesn't find things funny.
Oh yeah. Wendig was on that list too, and he is a hired.
That's what I'm saying. You can't have paid employees on the list, guys. It doesn't even make any sense. It's like saying that the guy who sculpted all these toys is a shill for Lucasfilm because he's I'm a toy sculptor. It's what. Like, all right. Kenner's on that list. Hasbro.
I mean, but what I find like just interesting about it, just like as a, I don't know, as an event, as a thing, is that it like there's a perspective, I think, that I like Star Wars. I like to run Star Wars businesses. Therefore, its success is contingent upon Star Wars' success. But they prove otherwise. They prove that the failure of Star Wars can easily be capitalized on. And to me, my takeaway, my lesson is I can just be completely honest all the time. And it literally doesn't fucking matter. Because, you know, it's very either or in terms of how it's looked at by, I think, both sides of the fandom to an extent. But the truth is that you can just say the truth the whole time, and you don't have to go all in like in a WWE, everything's black or white, bad and good. You can literally just be like, this is good, I enjoy this, or this isn't good to me. And you'll have like your people, like the guy yesterday who was mad at you about not liking some toys or some shit. Yeah, those people, like, those
Sure
people are going to be there no matter what.
I'm certain he went off after the show. I'm certain he went around town fucking raging about it.
I think he went and bought some more Black Series. He's like, fuck that guy. But
taught me.
Yeah, but
I learned my lesson.
But I mean, look at Ethan Van Sciver. And look at Brian Young. I'm just saying, though, I mean, truthfully, I mean, this has nothing to do with either of those men, but look at both of them. They have both profited from, I'm going to say, hate and disingenuously covering and endorsing every fart Disney has ever made. And it's completely profitable for both of them. And so I don't, and if you ask me,
I just like how the guy who got super famous by working for mega corporations and licensed characters is complaining about Shills, you know. Like, we wouldn't even fucking know who you are if it weren't for these major fucking characters that you worked on. You know what I mean? Like, but no, they're Shills, you know.
And I don't even know where Ethan. I don't even know if Ethan Van Sciver still is in this shit. For the record, I'm just using.
But it's that stuff that it's just when I hear like there's two levels of fandom that drive me nuts. So one is when it's fans attacking fans. You know, like if fans want to criticize the films and even say I don't like this director's take on shit, fine. Where I lose the limit is when you start to fucking attack them personally as if they're ruining your favorite fucking thing. Yeah. Did Joel Schumacher ruin Batman? Has Batman gone away since then? Right? No. You know, like, it's ridiculous. Even if you don't like the movie, it has nothing to do with the person. Just bad take. Yeah. The one that really pisses me, like actually gets under my fucking skin, is when people who have been paid professionals then attack other professionals or fans, right? Because it's like, and then they try to act like, no, I'm keeping it real. Like, I'm a professional, but I've kept it real. Like, no, you haven't kept it real. You're being a fucking dick, you know, like straight up, dude. And one would think that when you get to a level where a company is going to pay you to help make more of what that thing that you loved, right, that you would then elevate to a status of which you go, wow, now I'm sort of like a representative of this in some way. So, you know, best behavior, right? But of course, it's not how life works, Rob. You know, as if no one in the military was immature and fucking crazy, right? When I was like we all just elevated to people. You know,
it's like but when you look at it, like they're really not that the corporations themselves, or even the businesses themselves, however you want to look at it, they're not really like that smart and like that flexible. So when you tell them that like you hate something, they don't know what to do with it. But when you tell them what you like, they know what to do with that. And that's kind of like, I feel like one side of it is completely one angle at dealing with things that you don't like is completely ineffectual. Like it's ineffective.
Because Jason, they know how to do something. They just cancel. That's what a company will do. They'll cancel a project or cancel future ones of those. They don't understand how to make something better. They know how to not make more of it or how to make more of it. That's it. Yeah. Right. Well, and they hope that whoever they tag with the making more of it will not make the same mistakes. And they don't know what those mistakes were. Yeah. But when they know like you like Mandalorians and you like
Baby Yodas, then that's what they like lean into. And that's
Shill.
kind of the shill. You fucking shill.
This is my
excuse
shill
me.
mug.
Wait, no. Hide that. Take that off the stream now. That's not those weren't licensed stickers. Those were third-party stickers. You motherfucker.
If they're gonna steal my art, oh well, you know. And they do.
Were those the stickers that were your art that somebody else was selling? Or no?
Somewhere in there was a couple of mine. It was from a bag on Amazon. You get them like on Amazon, and they're just stealing everyone's art. So I'm like, well, if my art's in there, I feel like I could buy one. They cut out. I did that Leia poster with all those game references, like a giant tribute poster.
Right.
And they like cut her out and then made a sticker out of it, so she's playing Game Boy or something, you know. So
yeah,
I just took out all the Baby Yodas and put them on my green mug.
Yeah.
I even now, Jason, I can't put my own art on a bootleg mug. Like I just can't promote my own art to myself. It's like I don't like my art, so you know, it's one of those self-deprecating artist things, you know.
No, I get it. It would be like me getting a shirt of my music and wearing my own shirt. That would be weird, you know. Yeah, but I'm not good at promoting myself on that front either. So, you know what I mean? I can't do it. But anyways, yeah. So my greater point is that we end up with these like two extremes of reactionary extremes. I'd even say. Like going against each other, and one half of it's like professional fans, which is not something I'm actually like over my course of having just been a really big Star Wars fan who started like doing this. The professional fans, honestly, kind of mostly all make me sick. They all kind of like they all kind of suck, and they do know that it like where I think that they have a valid angle. Hate to say it, but I try to be a fair person. Is that a lot of them will not say anything bad about the powers that be because they want interviews, they want interview access, they want to make sure that they don't step on any toes. And but that really is not their problem. That's your problem if it's a problem for you. If you don't like the person who's like that being that way, don't consume their media. Don't buy their shit.
That's it.
Go to somebody else
don't buy
who gives honest takes. Like the books are that way. I don't like reviewing the books because if you leave bad reviews on the books, they really get fucking upset about it. They really do. I got like responses back from them where they're like, "Oh, are you really don't like it? You really had a problem?" It's like, hey, I'm sorry. It just is what it is.
You really don't like the Black Series label figures? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
What chapter? Tell me what chapter, Wards. Did you really read it? You know, like, fuck, man.
Guess I didn't read it
footnotes
carefully enough.
Cite passages.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like, you know, it is kind of, but what makes me laugh the most about it is like people trying to live in 2017 still. It's like with Ryan Johnson on it. Like, no offense to Ryan Johnson, dude's having a great career outside of Star Wars with probably a lot less headaches.
I love Knives Out, man.
Yeah,
I love Knives Out.
It's a great movie. And
a donut hole. It's another donut hole and a donut. I fucking love it.
You can, which you can buy on voodoo.com. Voodoo.com.
My dream at this point. My dream at this point is for him to somehow give a cameo to Steve Martin Short, and Selena Gomez from Only Murders in the Building in Knives Out 3 or something. Like just small little, like they're in the same universe kind of thing.
Rob says, for me, the John Jackson Miller thing recently highlighted the professional fans. I was disappointed when I found podcasts, sites, and fans I know wouldn't cover the story. I don't actually know what you're talking about. But by all means, let us know, because I would like to know what you're referencing. And Max wears her own shirt and also pretends to not flash dance in the shower still, but totally does, if anybody's wondering.
Don't do that dance in the tub. That is super dangerous. My favorite flash dance spoof is from Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. She does the whole thing on stage, and then it's supposed to get doused with glitter, and they mix it with like oil or chocolate syrup or some shit like that. She does it
Max
great.
sent me a picture last night of what's her name from Flashdance,
Jennifer Beal.
and Jennifer Bills. Yeah, man, she is hot. By the way,
She looks amazing, right?
Yeah, like she got hotter somehow, which is fucking weird.
She was a full-grown woman when I was a little dude.
Yeah,
yeah.
I wanted to crawl back inside back then, and I still do. But
her and Paul Rudd don't age. You know,
yeah,
for whatever reason, I don't understand.
And I'm gonna say that they fucked up making her a weird ass alien with dicks on her head because she's hot. You should have just kept her as a human.
Now I see what George saw.
Anyways, so Max sends me that picture, right, and writes Flashdance. I text back Flashdance, and then Max writes, I used to do the Flashdance hair swinging in the shower when I was a kid, and has her little hand going up on the thing, and my response was, don't fucking lie to me. You still do that because Max still does that.
I totally stopped 20 years ago. Sure.
Rosenda says, I saw Shills, so I figured this was the show for me. Yeah, on Santa's show today, I texted in and gave
Sour Santa should be first off, not only does he have Star Wars in his name, he also has Santa, and there's no bigger shelf for the toy industry than Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. It's a shield clause. It's called the Santa Claus. Club Star Wars says, I think a lot of fans who were pissed off with the sequel trilogy have now lost interest and moved on. What do you think? Well, if you want to know what I actually truly think,
I'm here.
Yeah, is that
he
doesn't really like it that much. What I think actually you have going on there is that Star Wars is always, at least in my experience in my life, has been somewhat niche with pop culture abilities, with huge pop culture capabilities. And so it ends up being this thing that doesn't require a lot of intelligence or even really deep-seated love to get into, like Star Trek. You have to really love that shit to understand the subtleties of Bones and Spock and Data's bullshit and all that. You get to really love it to just jump in
like 500 years, but all right.
It's all over. They time travel all over the fucking place. You know what I'm saying though?
Something Wales, something.
Yeah, San Francisco. One cool punk guy who flips off Kirk. That guy was cool.
That guy worked on the Rancors.
That guy was cool. And anyways, so you end up with Star Wars, and it comes around, and it's like, on Thanksgiving it was on TBS, and we had a good time. I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm a nerd. See my glasses? I'm a nerd. Like, you have like a lot of that kind of shit, and then it goes around. They're really good at amping it up. Everybody's super excited, but it's like I was in the fucking lines with and I know a lot. Before I get too far ahead of myself, a lot of people don't like this idea of real fans and fake fans. I'm not interested in that, but to pretend like there is a difference in fans and that there just is. There is a complete difference.
Yeah, anyone going to Galaxy's Edge right now ain't getting booing at all the First Order stuff.
True.
Those pack lines are like, going, this sucked, the new movie. Like, the idea of this trilogy wasn't for me, so I don't like the movies anymore. It's pretty much what the comic book, store nerds and us would do, are the convention fans, right? The ones that, when I first went to Comic-Con in '92, I watched two grown men fight over a fucking Beanie Baby, not Beanie. It was sorry, that was too early, but it was a Transformers toy or some shit, and I had never seen that. The two grown men.
But what I think you actually have is sort of this weird hegemony via the prequels, and what the prequels did was, if you either loved them or you hated them, right? But in actuality, nobody really gives a big shit, like deep down in their heart. They either liked it or they just moved on. But there was this whole thing of, I like Star Wars, but I don't like the prequels. Like, it was, and the people who said it, they didn't know anything about Star Wars whatsoever for the most part, didn't really care that deeply about it. And then you have the sequel trilogy announced, and then you have this discourse that Disney really does manufacture very heavily practical effects, basically saying this ain't George Lucas's Star Wars. And then everybody is super excited. So again, a bunch of people super excited to not get George Lucas's Star Wars. And then what did they want to happen? What did they think they were going to get in their eye holes? They got exactly what they got. And so anyways,
it's the Flight of the Navigator guy where he was like talking about how, if you remember Flight of the was a Disillusion, what's his name, dude? The YouTuber that did that 45-minute documentary.
Oh, the guy who paints himself like a Star Trek guy.
Yeah,
almost.
He's super cool. He looks like Wayland from Deep Space Nine. Yeah. But
I like his video.
He talks about how, Flight of Navigator was, marketed on it, how it's all digital, because that was the big deal in the 80s, to be all CGI. And it really isn't anywhere near, out of all the visual effects shots, less than a third of them are fully digital, or even have digital elements. Yeah, so it's like, he talks about the ethics of film marketing. And so now they tell you they had this scene. It's a great, from the making of The Fugitive, right? The Fugitive, I think it was. Yeah. Where he's like, this shot is 100%. We did it with a real train. And then they cuts to the making of where that's clearly a model train. Like Godzilla-sized dudes against. It's not. It's really, just lie their asses off. Lucasfilm has been doing this forever. The one I remember clear as day was when the 2005 DVDs came out. Okay. And they were like, look, we finally fixed the mats on the snowspeeder, so they're no longer transparent. So when the snowspeeder's flying,
that was in 97, by the way. That was in 97.
No, this is, they didn't fix them in 97. So on the 2005 DVD, they said, now we fix them. And they're showing the footage.
In 97, when they also said it and showed a side by side, that was still.
Yeah, and they lied. But on the DVD, they put the 97 one. See, the one we promised was, and here's the one. And it's still transparent. Like, it's 100% nothing. They just put a blue filter over it to make it look darker. But you can still see through it. You're like, why don't you just ignore it? Why do you have to double down?
It's like
the lie.
We don't. I think we would be better at analyzing this if we were still really, if we had like music that was more meta than we have now, where everything is just so piecemealed and small. But it's like, the big hit single of the month would come out, and then the next month everybody hated it. And this isn't unlike that. It's the
and they tell you it was never good in the first place, and it always sucked, and they really hated it. But they own it. Look, Titanic, I got told that was the worst movie I ever made. Yeah, I'm like, well, we all got snookered. Somehow they tricked you into seeing it 4 or 5 times in the theater. I saw it 7. Yeah. How does any look, if a company knew how to do that, wouldn't they be doing it with every fucking film? Like, don't you think they'd be tricking all of America into going to see Dune so it wouldn't have a 65% drop, which I predicted, right, on the second weekend? Like they don't have the ability. There is something else, and you may feel like, I want to be the rebel who doesn't really like it. I don't play that game. Like, I think it's okay to dislike. There are times, bro, I fucking love mustard, and then I'm like, fuck mustard. And then I get back into liking mustard. It's just human nature.
I think it's important to judge the movies by the era and amongst the other films of its time, because every era has its own challenges and its own different financial reasons for existing the way that it does. And so it's like, if you want to gauge the prequels against Empire Strikes Back, that doesn't really make sense. It's a totally different time in film. But if you want to take it and put it up against and judge it against like The Matrix and Lord of the Rings or something like that, then I think that's a fairer assessment than judging it by things that were made generation 10, 15 years before in a different climate. But our buddy Ant-Man says, I like Star Wars, all Star Wars. Star Wars is like a giant fucking buffet of different elements I love. Is some better than others? Sure. It's still my favorite universe to escape off to. And that's my take as well. Like 100%. Is even the worst Star Wars movie that exists is still a hell of a lot more fun for me than most other movies of that stupid genre. If that makes sense. Like there's like smart adult films, and I just don't go to Star Wars for like the same thing. And I do feel like a large amount of the audience needs to learn that difference. That like the adult
critical
in you,
thinking is not, especially in this country, is not nuance, and critical thinking is not something they're teaching the average person these days. So
yeah, it's like it's like I don't know. It's like going out with your buddy. Here, I'm gonna pick on Bill Miller. Bill Miller, who shows up every time, going, "It's Miller time," and you're like, "All right, cool. Me and Miller are gonna hang out, and me and Miller are gonna have a fucking good ass time." But also like whenever I'm like, dude, I'm really mourning the loss of my cat. You might not want Miller time. You
think Tim Miller said it on Deadpool, and then when it was a success, he was like, "That's right." And then he gets on the set of Terminator, Dark Fate, and then it didn't work out.
He's like, "It's not Miller time. It's not Miller time." But yeah, I mean, I feel I have a lot of friends who I met on the Twitter.com and Facebook machine, and who actually though bounced at the same time. They still consume all of the Star Wars content. They just text me now. They just send me emails because all of you guys, I shouldn't say all of you guys, but both sides were so fucking extreme and nuts. Like the far right is fucking insane, and the far left is also fucking insane. And I'm not even a centrist politically, for the record. I'm pretty left, pretty liberal guy, but I can't deny what I've actually seen and experienced. And that's that it's hijacked by insane people. And
I draw the line at bullying, bro. Like that's my line. Like when you go out there and you want to emotionally or physically attack someone, either way, what's the difference? Yeah. And you want to ruin their lives and make everyone else ruin their lives and keep them from ever earning a living for whatever personal agenda you have. That's a bully. I don't deal well with bullies, Same. So, this sort of thing. I remember you were telling me, you're like, Rob, eventually movie's going to come out and we'll have different opinions and people are going to fucking attack you. And I'm like, I've already had Lucasfilm tell me I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to Star Wars. like I don't have the desire for the internet to care what I think. If I ever had any feeling of like I need validation, it may have been from the company, right, itself at some level, but I've since lost that because who cares? Like you have to. I have a friend right now who's drawing the Dr. Aphra comic. All right, he's got some issues coming out, and I'm super excited for him. I keep telling myself, man, I hope he gets this, because his name is Ray Height. He's a brilliant illustrator, right? Okay. Ray is fucking amazing, and I'm like, I hope that this is the fucking comic that the story gives him the chance to show off a real Indiana Jones adventure, and I hope that that's the story that gets adapted because I want to see my friends succeed, even if I feel like the last 3 Aphra comics I read don't do anything for what I've heard the characters about, right? There's always, with Star Wars, there's always a possibility that the next thing will, and it does. Star Wars does this. It's never been a complete up or a complete down. It's always been like this. Like, if you didn't like the prequels, then the Clone Wars comes around, and that's a big up for you, right? And the Rebels and all that stuff. And so then maybe the sequel trilogy wasn't your thing, wasn't my thing. I started high, and then I thought, then all right. But then you get to Mando, that's a big up for people. Yeah, and not every one of these TV series is going to do well either. We got to prepare ourselves for that,
No, and as a shill, I've always said that the best Star Wars could be on the horizon, but also the worst Star Wars is yet to be made, because they haven't really made like a truly like shitbag Star Wars movie.
Rise of Skywalker's close for me, bro. It's as close. If the actors can act,
yeah.
If the actors in there, not saying the actors in the prequels couldn't act, but if the quality of acting in Rise of Skywalker was at the same level as Attack of the Clones, right? Like that sort of stunted, not really like connected to the camera for whatever reason. Okay, maybe it's all the blue screen. I don't know, but if it had that where you're like, are these people like even connecting with one another? Then that would be as bad as Blade 3 or something.
Exactly. And we haven't actually had it. I don't think we've had it that bad personally. The
Ewok movies are close.
Okay, if we want to count the Ewok movies, if we're counting Ewok movies, then There you go. I don't
They're
think
pretty
anything's-
bad, like especially that second one. Like,
No, the second one's better. I think the second one's
is
better.
it? Okay,
Yeah,
see, that's
it has more like it's like more like masked monsters in it and stuff.
okay. All
Like,
right. Okay,
out
well,
of
either
Fandom.
one I can't stand.
But
So.
yeah, no, they're I don't count them though. I don't count them as actual movies. I know people in like Australia got to go see it in the theater though. It was released theatrically in like Australia and Spain, I want to say, which is very strange. But still, one of my fondest childhood memories is opening up the TV guide, finding the big Ewok adventure ad, going down, and it had the station on the stereo. You turn on the stereo onto, and you could rock the show in stereo, which at that time TV was all mono for the most part. But you could use your dad's stereo. You could move his pot to the side, his joints and his Aussie records, and your mom's B-52 records to the side, and you could listen to Star Wars in stereo, which is a big deal.
You want to know what I wanted when I was around that age? It was around 80, 88, 87, 88.
To crawl up into
I wanted-
flash dance and be
I
reborn.
wanted a Star Tours like show where like one of those things
Yeah.
got lost and they got to find their way back and they just stop by different planets.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I was like, I just want more Star Tours as a show. Even I don't have to be a ride.
But that's what's kind of weird. What you made me think about with what you were saying before is that, like, on one hand too, when the really really bad Star Wars movie does come out,
Yeah.
I have a feeling it comes out and then it ages 20 years and becomes super loved for being just so fucking weird. Like when you look at like aspects of the prequels that worked in that way. So it's going to take like a really like empty movie where like there's just nothing going on like the whole time, to really, I think, hit that mark. But when you look at what we've got like after, I think we're going to see a failed premise eventually is what we're going to see, where they try something like combine, like for instance, WandaVision, great success, but you could also see how WandaVision could have failed. Like you can see how like in the wrong time, in the wrong era, that could have been a real fucking piece of shit. And Star Wars is going to eventually do something like that, where it just ends up being like a Zack Snyder movie. Did I say that?
In the negative? Oh, I like the
good one.
4-hour Justice League HBO Max thing in the way that I like an Image Comics crossover, right? Where it's big splash pages and, lots of anatomy, cross-hatching. I like it.
Go Goes.
Weird that it's in 4:3. I get the IMAX. It's just weird. Yeah. But do not care for Sucker Punch. Love the premise. Just fucking horrible film.
Yeah.
Didn't care for BVS, I think though, like right now we're about to kind of see one with like Eternals, right? There's a group of people that already hate it, Some people, if it fails, what will they do? I'll tell you right now what they'll do and what Star Wars will do if something fails. They'll take the characters that worked and they'll just make them cameos in future projects. And then you'll come to really love those characters. And then eventually, when you really like those characters, you go, why don't they just do another one? It wasn't so bad. And then they'll make another one. And they did this, by the way, with Thor 2. Thor 2 did not do well. And I remember at the time, the comic book fatigue, this is the one. They couldn't even get the Game of Thrones guy to do it well. It's fucking piece of shit. And then Ragnarok comes out. Ragnarok comes out, right? And they're like, oh, this is how all the MCU things should be, right? So these companies, these under Feige, man, and I think Lucasfilm has proved this too with the Mando. They have the ability to switch, to change. So for good or for bad, but they have the ability to take what works. And I don't think we're going to get another trilogy that doesn't have them figuring out the story in its loosest form from beginning to end. I don't think they're going to make that mistake again,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's the lesson to learn from the sequel trilogy, that you just don't assume you can pull off a George Lucas in 1975 to 1983, do the work. Don't assume that you can replicate that success.
Yeah. The at the time, how I thought that they might be able to pull it off was the fact that George Lucas is essentially one person making all the calls and was the main executive producer and if not the director as well and the writer as well. And so he needed 3 years to make each one. Doing all of that together, we were like, well, with multiple writers and, you know, a story group and multiple directors, 2 years, you could shave a year off of fatigue. And plus, let's just be honest, love George Lucas. When he got a little bit older, a little bit richer, he's a little bit lazy. You know, he was just kind of hanging out a lot and making Indiana Jones documentaries that academics put together and he oversaw.
Hundreds,
made 100 of those things, and by the time they came out, they were aged. And
you told me that. I was like, how many did he make?
I watched them all. They were not. I remember having a lot of issues with some of them too. Some of them were like, "Really, you guys? I don't know about this. This kind of
my Encyclopedia Britannica told me it's true."
Yeah, they were very like I honestly think he had this dream of these all ending up in high school history programs. Like I think that's what he was hoping, that it would be like edutainment with via Indiana Jones in high schools or something. I don't know. It was weird.
If only you could have got him drunk and found out at the time, right?
Well,
like I guess that he was drunk on Mongolian barbecue or something.
I'm just surprised. I know History Channel, you know, remember when History Channel was very much like legit, when it wasn't doing like sure. Storage Wars kind of shit and aliens. Like I'm surprised that he didn't get them to fund more young Indiana Jones back then. You know, it would have been a natural fit and a way for them to do both of those things together in a really solid way. But
the missed opportunity for me with Indiana Jones is that his mom wasn't an Agatha Christie novelist. Like I felt like his father obviously is a pragmatic, fucking book to the nose historian, educated man. But his mom, I thought his mom should have been Agatha Christie. You know, should have been someone who writes nothing but novels and shit. And his dad's always like, don't believe that fucking, that's not how life really is, kind of stuff. And she's like, no, there is fantastic. Like, there's no other side in his life, you know. And then as he gets older, he finds out, oh, that made up shit actually is. There's some truth to it. You know?
It says a lot about George Lucas at that time's ideal woman. What he thought, like what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see why Linda Ronstadt had some issues.
Yeah, well, no, but I mean, but also look at, I'm saying you can see George Lucas's ideals, right? What his ideals are, but then his reality is he dates women that are rock and roll as fuck.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He wants like the mom isn't subservient in that series, but she's very there to support my family and my husband.
Very traditional. Yeah.
Very traditional.
Very
right,
traditional. Yeah. And just like, yeah. Right. She's like, I'm going on this vacation to give Henry Sr. hand jobs and to make sure you don't get into any trouble.
That's mom in the sheets, vamp in the streets, you know.
Yeah. but when you
other way around, shit.
Look at like Padme,
vamp in the
but look at what you know what they did with Padme and like how Padme as a romantic subject was handled.
Yeah.
And yeah,
or her, you know, any of Lucas's female characters in the third act just get wait, you know, nothing's changed there. So.
And that might be a time that might be sort of an artifact of his generation. Like women entering the workforce was still kind of a new concept. They weren't against it at all, you know, and they were for it. But I don't think that they really understood what the end game was or what it looked like and what to do with those kinds of things.
They start like cutting up your film wards. It's fucking ridiculous, you know.
Like Lucas wasn't the first person ever to make a Princess Leia, but at the same time, he was one of the first people to ever have to deal with an end game of Princess Leia. Well, where do you do with it in the end? How do you wrap it up? How do you reach cultural atonement? And what's funny is the idea that Leia and Han Solo are going to get married was culturally it atoned. People were like, yeah, Princess Leia becoming a baby factory was atonement. And then but then the reality of the situation when you get to like 7, 8, and 9 is, well, that's not a very, very nice thing just to do just to reduce her to only being that. Not that being a mother is not a huge thing and a big thing and even an important thing. But it
well, the sequel, the essential setup for the sequel trilogy that life didn't work out so well for them and they split up, is sort of like something that I don't mind them doing, but they made the classic sequel mistake. And you can see this in a movie called Jewel of the Nile, the sequel to 1980 something's Romancing the Stone.
Yeah.
Wherein Romancing the Stone is all about Kirk Douglas and Kathleen Turner. She's a writer who writes about Indiana Jones novel,
And she has a
romance
whiskey
novels.
voice like this, and if it makes you hard,
Shit,
that's
shit,
okay.
man.
She sounds like Jesse the Body Ventura.
Don't make fun of V.I. Wachowski. So, you know, like, and yeah, I know. So, and then she goes to the Amazon and she meets the real fucking dude she's always writing about, right? And they have that moonlighting. The moonlighting is just Romancing the Stone, right? And it's that type of thing.
Yeah.
But then they get to the sequel. At the end, they get together. They get to the sequel and they're broken up. Yeah. So everything you just spent all that time investing in, the very next movie, they're broken up and they have to get back together. And it doesn't feel, you're not rooting for it in the same way, because you're like, we're watching them do the same shit we kind of saw them do, and it's not working. It doesn't feel genuine. So like, if you're going to show them breaking up, you got to show it on camera. It can't happen off camera. If what happens between Luke, Leia, and Han should have been the crux of the end of the first film, where Ben fucking breaks off from his family, breaks all their heart, and then in the second film they're all split up. Yeah. So by the third film they get back together. You have to see this. You can't. This is something Dune does. And you guys love Dune. Dune does this classic mistake from the 60s where they tell you all this shit, you should care about it because these characters care about it. Show me why the Prince dude and Aquaman are friends. Have them be friends. Do something. Go on a little like scouting mission. Have the kid save the dude or him save the whatever. Like, let me experience their friendship. Don't tell me I should care about stuff, which is what the prequels ultimately suffer from too. It's a lot of this is signified in one fucking phrase when Owen looks at Anakin and goes, "I guess that makes us brothers." Like that is not a relationship. A relationship was, we're brothers. Like, be brothers. You know, like Anakin goes like, I want to be fucking up there. You want to be down here. You know, like, I don't agree with you. You know, I'm going to be better.
Hold on. When you say brothers, do you mean like, as in like they are speaking jive, or in
Mike Zucker's Attack of the Clones? Yes. Yeah. Okay. And then the mom for Brady Bunch plays Anakin's mom. That would have been great.
Wouldn't it have been great if Lucas had Anakin and he just like gave him like the total like black scent like rapper voice like from the White Kid, like
Chet Hanks?
Yeah, like just like gave him that and just like went right into that, and then like what would we have done with that?
I'm hip. I watch MTV. I was watching Jamie Kennedy the other day, and I'm like, why not?
It's white boy summer, like my father's before me.
And plus, look, they're really white on a desert planet. You know, they're not wearing clothes like the Tusken Raiders. You know, they're not covered up. It's ridiculous, but whatever.
By the way,
but look,
I watched it. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, but I was just saying, like, this is all arguments you could have in a fanny way, like my fanny pack, in a fan way. My wife doesn't want to hear this, right? Fans want to have these kind of conversations. It's when you go, and then it's JJ, he did it, or it was
Jar Jar Abrams.
Yeah, Jar Jar. You know what? It's the first time I've ever heard that, but I can see them doing it all the time. Really? No, okay. Probably because I muted Jar Jar on Twitter. I don't see it, but but that's what I'm saying. Like, they then turned it into like, let's find someone to attack.
You fuck your ass and make you humble.
Like Iron Sheik.
And when that doesn't work and they can't get a response from the pros, then they attack us talking about it, right? Like, then it becomes, to bring it back to the Shill Awards, it's like, oh, you liked it? It must mean you're bought out. I got a friend I've been friends with for almost 20 years was like, you really like the Phantom Menace? I'm like, this whole fucking time, why do I own the Art of book? You know, do I think the film's great? No. Do I like it? Yeah. Like, I love the production of it. I love a lot about it. I love the promise the film has at the end, and then I just ignore what happens. I don't care for the other two, you know, like, in ways that people love the third. They think they get better. I thought they got worse. You know, like that's how. But that's the subjectivity of fans.
My take used to always be, if you really hate the Phantom Menace, don't worry, because it just keeps getting better from there. That was my take. I actually thought like, for the most part, like Attack of the Clones, we have a lot of things that we pull out and like focus on, but I feel like it's overall like kind of an easy movie to watch. And then I love Revenge of the Sith though. I actually like that's probably my favorite Star Wars movie overall.
The only part about the film that I really like felt bad for someone was when the poor little dragon falls off Obi-Wan in the hole. Like,
Boga, when Boga eats shit.
And he goes, oh, and I was like, I felt legitimate. Oh no. I felt bad about that.
There used to be a sequence where Obi-Wan and Boga fell into the water, and there was a monster down there, and then Obi-Wan had to fight the monster, and I think it may have eaten Boga. I can't remember now.
Oh.
Yeah, but then they end up cutting that monster, and then they ended up using the monster in the Clone Wars later on.
But I don't like the fight at the end between him and Anakin. I think it's ridiculous. You know, I don't think it's better than the Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, Liam Neeson fight. I don't care for the she died of a broken heart nonsense. Yeah. There's a lot of, it's not my thing. Whatever it is, I don't like that the Emperor looks weird in that film. The makeup, he just looks bloated. I don't know, like it's so odd, the design of him. I told you the lighting on Coruscant, the way they did all the lighting on there, I think is amazing. Like, I don't think they've surpassed that. And the space opera scene is great. So.
Yeah, the space opera.
It's great.
I always thought it was weird for as much like just telling you that George Lucas does at times instead of effectively showing you. Shows you a lot, but he tells you a lot more about the characters than he shows you. And I found it was weird when he decided, because like originally Darth Vader chokes Padme. She is injured in it, and it puts her into childbirth, and all of the trauma together leads to her death. That was the original like shooting version. Then it was like, oh, I can't have Darth Vader being a wife killer, wife beater and wife killer. Basically, that's not good for the Darth Vader, is it? And so they start rethinking it. But I always thought it was weird because, like, for as much telling as they do, they could have just been like, her connection to his force is. And his going away from the light is pulling her down and killing her. Like they could have just had some dumb explanation that was equally as stupid, but more effective for the audience for people who were already buying into. I'll just take what you're telling me, George. I'll go with.
I think the easier thing to do is that Palpatine should have just had a plan to use the Clone Wars to put all the Jedi at a certain position so that they could easily picked off when he commits the Order 66. So if he had been cutting throughout the film to different battles, we're on this thing to get the thing to shut it down, and we're over here, we're getting the thing to get it, and then right when they're all in that spot, that's where he gets everyone. They're unable to fucking get anywhere. Like he traps them all like across the galaxy in a and she's trapped in that too and gets murdered in it. And he's culpable. That way Palpatine takes the fucking role, but then Anakin's culpable in that thing. They all got betrayed. Yeah. At one clear shot. And the only one that didn't go along that path was Obi-Wan and Yoda, because they were doing their fucking sneaky Obi-Wan Yoda shit. They didn't go along to, we're not fighting this battle, there's a real hidden thing. And the Jedi, there's no hidden thing, this is the battle, this is how we'll end it. And they're not there for that. And look, this is the problem, because you don't get to sit in a room with George whiteboarding these fucking ideas, right? Like
I would have shown up. Yeah, just asked me to.
Yeah, well, it's frustrating. Like the space opera scene should have been in the second film. Yeah, that way he's got time between movies to really manipulate that dude. Yeah, especially after his mom died. Like you don't want people to die,
But what about this? She goes into labor. What's this one's name?
Don't.
Luke. Next one comes out. What's this one's name? Leia. It's like, okay, we're done. And then booyakasha, the fucking leg comes out through her belly. And she goes, Chet Hanks, and she dies. And then Chet Hanks is the other baby. Like
I like the boot.
Yeah. Booyakasha.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, anyways,
But whatever, man.
I would watch that. But I watched the Boba Fett trailer a bunch more. Probably should have mentioned this up front, but I was just
At the front of the show.
too ecstatic about being nominated again. And anyways,
Maybe next year I'll be on that.
I
list.
do think that the trailer was actually playing in 4K for me finally last night. When it first came out, YouTube wasn't giving it to me in 4K.
Do you get the crushed blacks even in 4K?
No, I wasn't last night. I wasn't getting that last night. The first seconds or so you do, and if you look at the version I used on the show yesterday, you can see when the little spider guy walks out, the compression's very heavy, and then it lifts as it goes on. I'm not getting that now. I was able to watch the Biomar monk or the Bomar monk, however you want to say it, as he was walking across. I do think that it's stop motion now. When I watched it in 4K, yeah, it does look like it's a stop motion.
Then I stand corrected.
Little spider dude. As I was rewatching it, I also think that is for sure Din Djarin talking about him sitting on his former employer's throne. The more I heard it, like I'm just like, yeah, that's totally him. It even has a little bit of the effect that you get from the helmet. So if that wasn't there, and when you watch it, you think maybe if you look it up logically, it feels like it's the Hammerhead saying it.
Do you think that'll be a line in the film, or is that going to be from a future tone poem?
Right? Yeah. Those tone poems kick ass though.
That's a great way to promote Disney Plus. Just saying.
Yeah.
They fit in the algorithm. They can pre-play.
I'm gonna look those up on the show right now. We should look at those. The things are fucking good. Hold on. It likes to get really slow. Hold on, let me close that out and see if we can get it up, because see if we can get it up. Star Wars tone. Like honestly, the I don't know, you get some good lines from Darth Maul in that one, but the Shami one is pretty good.
Shami. The Shamon. Should have called it Shimon.
Shamizer. Okay, let me see if it'll let me share this. It probably will. My computer is not a fan of me doing this, unfortunately. All right, sharing audio. All right, let's see what happens. See, it does this thing where it opens it up for me on my screen, but it's not on your screen. Why would you do that, Melon?
Whoa.
Why would you do that?
3 thumbs down. Kurtz, Marsha.
All right, here we go.
Don't look back before you go.
Oh, wait. Hold on, I'm ruining the poetry.
Eyes forward.
Can you guys hear that in the chat?
Yeah.
Choices to make.
But yeah, I mean, this is so weird.
To realize.
The strangest thing I've ever seen a film do like
Don't
this.
Look back.
The problem is his mom's too young. Because you're
Is
like,
she?
those two were boning. Yeah, if she was going to have a child by the Force, she should be like 99. She should have been the chick from Titanic when she's old.
What? Wait, I mean, why wouldn't the Force be banging 25-year-olds in Florida on spring break?
Because Liam Neeson's going to get that. That's where, if I was to be critical,
One love.
some of those shots are super deep.
Chet Hanks,
I like,
one love. We like a shot.
You like the font? I like the font.
I do.
The Art Deco.
I do. It's good.
Yeah. One dream, one heart,
Dreams
one
come
soul.
true, and you
What's
could
that?
be who you wanted to be. You could do what you wanted to do, and you could help who you wanted to help.
I like Jake Lloyd. I think he does a
What
good
if
job.
dreams came true, and the world opened up, and you were never.
He's
ever
no Chris
afraid?
Cope, though.
What if dreams came true? But dreams do come true, don't they?
Ooh, not yours, little boy. You're gonna be Darth Vader. All right, one destiny.
It will be a hard
Fried
life,
chicken.
one without reward, without remorse, without regret. A path will be placed before you. The choice is yours alone. do what you think you cannot do. It will be a hard life, but you will find out who you are.
You know, like as I'm like watching this stuff right now, it's like kind of occurring to me that I do feel like this stuff did affect my enjoyment of the movie. Like these nice little poems. I feel like it gave weight to the characters to me that's not in the movie, and
It's not in the movie.
it's not in the movie.
What do you think? So you liked it, Rob? Yeah, I didn't say it was the greatest fucking film ever. You know, I said I liked it. Like,
but I mean, it's like I guess like in a lot of ways though. In a lot of ways, like is it like do you look at Star Wars and as one movie? Like, can you even do that? Like if everything's a sequel, everything is somehow several degrees away from one another. Like on one hand, like do the tone poems, do they get to count? Like I don't even know. Like I guess it depends on what standard you set. But as somebody who was consuming all of this shit, like I can't deny that it had an effect upon my enjoyment.
also, the fact that they worked one into all of them for episode 1, right?
Yeah,
One
it's
Destiny,
genius.
one.
It's
right?
good.
It didn't work for the sequel. There's like 2. Take a 2.
There are
2.
things
Shit.
I cannot do.
Oh yeah, and when you hear Padme in this one, her voice isn't modulated down, which is kind of weird.
Things I cannot do. I cannot watch while people suffer. I cannot sit when something must be done. I cannot judge those who are different. There are things I cannot do. Run, hide, ignore. There are things I cannot do, but there are certainly things I will do.
Oh shit, baby. Oh damn, she's like, there's things I will do, and it's terrorism.
I like how she's like, I won't ignore anyone or run. I'm like, that's what the whole movie was until the last 20 minutes. He did all those things. Weird
yeah.
affect though, right? It's
No,
not quite Aussie. It's not quite British.
She had a coach, and I want to say they were doing a weird thing, even based off of Kate Blanchett to some extent, who had been Elizabeth. And
Okay.
that was, but as I'm hearing her voice and the tone of it here, I'm like, it's so much better than what they used in the film. Modulating her
Yeah.
voice down was not a good idea. I would love to see a
No.
cut of it with the voice regular someday. I wonder if it plays better.
Fear. Fear attracts the fearful, the strong, the weak, the innocent, the corrupt.
Ooh, those little Darth Vader statues.
Fear is my ally.
One truth. Yeah.
Hey, look, visually, they didn't conjure up a better villain than the other 2 movies.
That's true.
In a palace of dreams, a queen stands alone. In her wisdom is the one chance to save her people.
This is my least
She
favorite
is
one.
strong. She is determined. She is their only hope.
Should have been Seal Gribble doing that. Yeah.
It should have been
Who's in the
Darth
first Indiana Jones? He's the ship captain in Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Vader. Yeah, I think
He's the
he
ship's
might-
captain.
Sometimes, the one who's clumsy, different, or even a little strange, just might be the friend you're looking for.
Okay, I don't like whoever's narrating these.
It's a little bit weird. It's like I feel like she's gonna start
In a time of change,
talking
a
about
young
stepping
man
on my
holds
balls in
his
high heels or
hands
something
the
if I let her go
fire
too
of a
long.
dying age. To take the step from student to master, he must trust
It's
himself
very strange, huh?
to stand alone.
It's very Keebler Elves commercials. You know?
Yeah, it's
Keebler
like
Elves, and no one makes
it
buns in
doesn't-
the oven like poppin' fresh.
Yeah, it's like what is this? That's really strange. Like the actual core tone poems with the characters though are very good.
Yeah, the tone poems are great. Those other 3, I was like, we may as well just got the Okato Taco Bell dog, you know? And they CGI him into the shots where he's running around. Like,
Oh, he's in the ads. He's in a lot of the ads with Colonel Sanders being like, "I got a lightsaber. Put the slaves in the back."
and that chick, the chick with the gun, there was a female sidekick. It's Megan. I always look, is that Megan Star Wars Santa, like on Adventures with the Okato Taco Bell dog? People are wondering, what it is. I'm like, I'm pretty certain I can dig this up. I have it on my drive.
I wonder. Yeah, I wonder.
I do. Here, look.
Okay. Oh yeah. That's exactly the ad I was talking about. It keeps like having Colonel Sanders with the lightsaber, and I'm like, what are you? Even as like a 19-year-old, I'm like, I don't know if this is a good idea.
It's odd, dude. Especially considering that they sold Gungans on their chicken boxes, right? Like,
did they though?
Yeah, they did. Because when I went to my buddy's house, he'd collect all the boxes.
Yeah.
I hadn't missed all this marketing, I told you, but I came back in July of '99. I was overseas, and he had the KFC with the Gungans, and I'm like, for real? So I always figured this was him cutting down the Gungans.
Let's see. I want to see if I can find this. KFC Star Wars buckets. Let's see if we have any.
That's the old '90s stuff.
Yeah. There was I remember like when all of that shit was like coming out back then, and there were these really horrible Pepsi cup toppers, and just buying those. But most of the stuff was that I saw like around the KFC stuff was that stupid fucking Colonel Sanders with the lightsaber. And it's just so fucking ridiculous all the time.
It was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Funkos, why not? I'm a show.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I was going to show that on the show to one of the Funko Pops that came out for Book of Boba that was shown yesterday somewhere. I saw it floating around. Confirms some of the costume stuff and lines up with that black undersuit kind of thing going on that we were hearing about.
I bought a Funko Pop yesterday. You believe that?
Oh yeah,
for real? Yeah, they got me. So, Wario64 is a Twitter guy that posts deals, different things you can buy and stuff. And he posted this Neo one from the Matrix where it's all black and it's got the Matrix code running over the black body. Yeah. And I was like, that should glow in the dark. And then I looked on the box, it glows in the dark. And I was like, $13.99 sold. I was like, damn it. Bought another one of these fucking things, but it's too good to pass up.
Look at you getting on the shill train, buying Funko Pop. Got your collection.
Woo woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we live in a weird time where being enthusiastic about the fandom that you participate in is supposed to be bad. But I am really like and I've always been a bit critical about collecting, because a lot of people I think like do collect to fill the hole in the heart. They're like it's like consuming, whether it's eating too much KFC like I do, or whatever, you know what I mean? You end up.
Well, I like one of something.
Oh sure, so yeah. And I'm
Ghostbusters. I got my Ghostbusters. I got my Transformers and Back to the Future thing knocked out with that DeLorean Transformer, right? Which is cool, but it's plastic. Like I was like, man, I wish it was die-cast metal like the old ones back in the day. Yeah. Like it's a shame because it costs as much as the die-cast metal ones back in the day, but with plastic. But it's still cool.
Yeah.
When people have I have a buddy who has tons of statues and they're amazing to look at, but it's like a lot of them are the same characters. I'm like, why the same character? Like it's so odd.
Because it's a false idol. You shall have no gods before me, unless it's a lot of that one chick from Thundercats in the leotard, because that booty.
All right, Paul Dano. All right. Sure.
No, and I am in no way saying like people who collect are trying to fill a hole all the time. Totally not. But there is like a component of it that it's a lot like people who shop when they're nervous, shop when they're sad, that kind of thing. And they definitely do prey upon those people in these kinds of things because they know that they could get them to buy anything. And that's just business. It's not good, but it is what it is. And so that's why I'm like, it's always I think important to realize as a shill salesman, I'm gonna just be honest with you guys for a minute. And what you have has nothing to do with how big of a fan you are, and it proves nothing. And like for me personally, I came to a conclusion for myself, this is just for me, is that I care more about experiences than I do the artifacts of that. You know what I mean? Like this poster I have here behind me, it is signed by Dave Filoni and a bunch of them actually. Kiner, I think, and anyways, a couple other guys, and that's a cool experience for me. You know, I got to meet all of those guys at different times and stuff. Oh, and one of my best experiences ever was this comic book store goes, we're thinking about having a Star Wars day. Would you like to come? We saw that you live near us. That's amazing. And I'm like, I'd love to come. So they invite me. And then Dave Filoni's like, hey, I live here too. I'm going to come. And so then Dave Filoni and Henry Gilroy and Killian Plunkett, they also signed this poster. They all end up going and they're having a Rebels chat. And I actually have the video on this channel. I actually asked them questions in the video and stuff. And I think I asked them about Fulcrum and stuff. But anyways, as I'm there, a very pretentious PR person this PR person would like cancel me from things and then run into me and give me a hug. They're like that kind of little monster.
Typical shill behavior.
Well, I'm just sitting there, and you know, if you're not important, they don't realize that you're there. And it just sits there and just talks in front of me about Ahsoka Tano coming into Star Wars Rebels for like 5 minutes, about Ashley Eckstein being back. Like they were literally my source for the scoop about Ahsoka coming back. Because they just said it all in front of me,
because they just said it out loud, right?
Years later, after
Not realizing.
after the Last Jedi, after I leaked the posters to the Last Jedi because I'm a shill, they called me and they started accusing me of like hiding in corners and stuff. I'm like, yo, just because your person depicted their big mouth that way doesn't mean I was hiding. Me and my very fucking plump pregnant wife were sitting at a fucking table with a baby boy.
I'll be the PR guy. You know, you're like Orko in those He-Man cartoons. You just hide out in the background. We gotta find you. But I know you're there, always lurking, always waiting to just put up stuff that we talk about just out in public at a comic book shop for no reason because we're too stupid to know who you are.
and who would go into a comic book store and start dropping Star Wars? Like I was just like,
yes, we call those stupid people.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing, you know. But
your impersonation's annoying. It's totally not even accurate to the character you're trying to portray. I don't even get it. Like, you're never gonna get a job doing that, you know, loser.
You're really losing the character. But I
don't care.
No, it's wild. The whole secrecy thing though still just boggles my brain, like the levels at which they will go to thinking that it matters. It's like you know, if you're making something that really connects, it doesn't hinge on that one time wow factor. It has to connect over and over again repeatedly.
That right there is something that marketing at Disney Plus could learn about every one of the. I started thinking about it yesterday because when I criticized the editing of that trailer, specifically toward the end, where I'm like, there's no wow factor.
Okay.
Everyone's like, well, that's how all the trailers of Disney Plus are done. I'm like, yeah, they all basically did the WandaVision trailers really make you show what that show is about or make you really want to watch it? No. They were hinging on you knowing the MCU and you're going to watch it because it's the MCU and you're probably bored from the pandemic. Same with Loki. Did the Loki trailers? I thought it looked cool, but the Loki trailers didn't really show you what that film was about. That series was about. And none of them have really gotten. Winter Soldier didn't. What If didn't do a good job. You know, so I feel like the marketing at Disney Plus needs to be scuttled like immediately. Because when I look at a trailer for Cowboy Bebop at Netflix, which I was adamantly against live action anime adaptations, when I saw the trailers, I'm like, these fuckers got me. This looks great. Same with Stranger Things. People go, oh, Stranger Things. Y'all love Stranger Things. Shut up. Those trailers for those fucking shows are amazing. They're fucking brilliant.
Is great if you don't take it too seriously. If you're like, oh, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go watch an '80s, you know,
Seriously? Like what? Like Goonies serious? Like, it's funny
Yeah.
what we take
well,
seriously.
it's like it's like going to the night of the comet and expecting like taking it seriously, or Critters.
If I could have gotten
Critters.
4 seasons of fucking Monster Squad as a series in the 80s that were at that level, I'd kill for that. So
That would have been a better TV show, probably. Thinking about it in a lot of ways.
Shell. So Brent, you're missing the point. All right, typical fan. Better marketing. Their market, and I think part of it is that they think like, they're going to give away too much now. We have to save it, and I'm like, yeah, you don't have to give away the fucking ending, but put something in the fucking thing that demands everyone's attention. It smacks them in the face and wakes them up in the morning.
I watched the Mandalorian season 2 trailer last night. My son wanted to watch the Boba Fett episodes of Mando, and I went over to the extras and I saw for season 2 that the trailer was there, and I watched it, and I'm like, oh, this trailer sucks, and it really does. It really didn't, and it. But
it doesn't need Luke in it to make it better, folks. Don't fucking type that shit.
No, Mandalorian though. One of the things about it is it has a high level of rewatch value because Grogu's adorable. And when you watched it, you were either so keyed into Grogu that you missed what was going on subtly in the performances of everybody else, or you were watching everybody else and not Grogu. And when you watch it again, you get to notice the little things that they did with Grogu that are adorable. So it has a certain amount of rewatch value. I do wonder when we get to other shows, like Ezra Bridger is no fucking baby Grogu. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
Except I would be worried, except that the stuff with Ahsoka in that episode without them was amazing.
Yeah.
And that's, from the lighting, the design of everything,
right.
It's a little stagey like a play, but so is the original Star Wars in a way, right? Like they still keep that scale where it's not too big, but it feels amazing. So I think, had the stuff between Ahsoka and the people in that village and everything been the worst part of that episode, then I would agree with you, except it wasn't.
Yeah. So. But I guess where I'm going with this is the rewatch value of the future shows, because I think that ultimately has a lot to do with how something connects. Is how many times can you rewatch it? And where I'm a little bit worried about the Ahsoka show is if it's like, oh no, Ahsoka, I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh no, wait,
they got to nail Thrawn. They got to nail the antagonist.
Well, it's like Ezra Bridger shows up, and then Hera shows up, and then Sabine shows up, and then Chopper, and it goes, and that, and it's like that right there is going to be cool the first week of every time that you see the character finally in live action and they do stuff. And you get reacquainted. But I think you're right. I think like Thrawn ultimately is going to be, he needs to be like, you need to be afraid of him. He can't just look like a blue guy. Like my problem, like I like Esposito, Grand, what's his name? What's Grand Moff? Fucking Jerry or some shit like that.
Oh,
what's his name?
Gerard?
The guy in Mando. Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon. Yeah.
Moff Gideon, like that dude scares me in Breaking Bad. Moff Gideon, I'm not really super afraid of him. He's just kind of an asshole, and so far, and he looked cool with the Darksaber and everything like that. But I'm not completely sold on Moff Gideon actually. Like I hate to say it, but the more I'm watching the episodes, he hasn't really done anything other than the fact that he would kick Grogu's mom in the stomach or something like that, but it doesn't happen. And so I hope that Gideon gets to really step up in the next time, and I hope that Gideon isn't the bar for Thrawn. I hope that that is set a lot higher and a lot deeper than what we've ever had, and I'm not sure if it will. We don't know who's really writing all of the Ahsoka episodes. Is it all Filoni? Because if it is, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of the Filoni written stuff exclusively. I like it when he has a hand in it, but
like George.
Yeah, I mean he's a director. Most people aren't Ryan Johnson, Disney shill.
Oh
yeah. Giancarlo Esposito is grand.
Yeah,
Moff cherry. But yeah. Anyways,
we also haven't had a character in Star Wars yet that self-destructs very well in the way that like a Saul Goodman did, like in Better Call Saul. Like you can have a series where your villain is yourself, where you're your own biggest villain.
yeah,
And we haven't really, like, there was the potential for that maybe in the sequel trilogy of seeing Solo or Luke be actually their own worst villain. And in some ways Luke is, but you have to read a lot into it to get that. You don't get to see a person who has all the opportunities now, but then starts to make bad decisions.
yeah.
You know, which, as we know in life, one can. You know, well, they were really great, and then all of a sudden, what happened? They started making stupid decisions.
Sure, I've been there. Ant-Man's Galactic Multiverse says, at the end of Mando season 2 finale, after Luke flies off with the Grogu, I wanted them to start season 3 right there with Thrawn coming out of hyperspace, rendezvousing with Gideon's ship.
Yeah, but that's Deus Ex Machina stuff. You can't just introduce new characters at the end. I get what you're saying, but it's just going to confuse people.
Yeah, well, then
then it becomes about that and not about the actual story.
What happened? Yeah, well, I do think that we are going to see just a big, like in Superman when Otis is getting Lex Luthor out of prison. We're gonna Superman 2. We're gonna basically get that, right? I mean, he's not going to stay in prison.
Well, I have a complaint about Thor Ragnarok, if you want to say about this. I don't think the end credit sequence where they meet up with Thanos' ship is necessary. And I think it completely takes away from, like, you can open up Infinity War with that having happened.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, it ends with that, like, it's like, well, then there was no point. Like, in that movie, it just becomes about that end tag at that point.
Yeah.
Like, that would, like, a better tag would have been, I don't know, like any fucking thing at that point. Like,
well, remember how they were saying that this was going to lead up into the sequel trilogy, Mando 3, or Mando in general. Well, I have a feeling that they may end up releasing Moff Gideon. They may just give him back. They may feel that taking him and keeping him hostage or keeping him in prison may actually lead to more hot wars, and they may just let him go to stop further skirmishes, which shows kind of how fucking hands tied they've become and where we're going.
That's what Lucas talks about in the Photo Archives interviews.
Okay,
when he talks about the sequel trilogy, was that here you have, just because the war's over, then you have all this like lawless territory where the Empire was actually, when they go away, it opens up 20. It's the Iraq situation where you kill the fucking emperor, and then now 20 fucking little criminal organizations are all constantly warring.
Taliban rolls right back in. Taliban's back, baby. Taliban.
Look, I'm not saying that means you do endless wars, but this is the consequences of these sorts of things. So it would be interesting for them to have to team up with the Empire, right? You have to team up with your enemy. Look, your enemy typically in stories has the same goals as you. They just have a completely different way of going about it. Yeah. Right. So they both want order and peace in the galaxy. The Empire just has a different way of achieving that alliance.
Different ethical system exactly.
And up against what threat? What threat would cause, look, if the Mandos all were coordinated and went rogue, that causes a big problem too. Like if they just say, hey, we're going to militarize our planet now and we're going to use Mando tech to fucking take over everything, that if you got a hot-headed, imperial-esque, Mando in charge of weaponizing that whole planet and its culture against the New Republic, that presents another problem too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, we do know from the early materials that were released where Lucasfilm stands on that stuff, and that's that Leia Organa is going to be like, these people are ridiculous. This is going to come back to a head and it's going to bite us in the ass. And everyone else is like, oh, we want peace. Everyone's tired of war, and they're going to kind of lay down and let them do what they want. And that's how we get the First Order back. But Leia falls into a weird place on that as being almost like the, I don't know, whistleblower is the word, but she's the one who's gearing up for war. But then meanwhile, her doing that, her son is the one who goes out and kind of leads the charge of the whole thing.
I'm not against any one of these ideas. The configuration of them is odd.
Yeah.
Inconsistent.
Yeah, it definitely is.
JJ.
JJ. Jar Jar Abrams.
Kasdan wrote the script with I know. Chill.
Yeah.
I'm aware. He wrote
Yeah,
some hand dialogue and got credit. Like, whatever.
Remember when he was on Howard Stern?
JJ?
JJ,
A few
yeah.
times. A
Yeah.
few times.
Yeah.
Because Howard was a
And-
big fan of Gilmore Girls or whatever
and-
one.
well,
Which one did he do?
He was on.
Was it
He came on around the Star Wars time too,
All right.
and Iron Sheik did, and boy, did me talking about Iron Sheik in context of JJ at the same time, commenting in a thread about the Howard Stern show. Boy, do people like to use that one against me. That one's just like, I'm just like, these people, they don't really care about the truth. They're just awful.
The Iron Sheik cares not.
Iron Sheik is fucking hilarious. Yeah.
Well, he's a legitimate mystery. Like, they're doing a documentary on him, and Jim Cornette was talking about on his podcast, and he's like, look, I've worked with that guy. God knows so many times. No one fucking knows who he is. Like, I'm legitimately interested in what that documentary will be about because he's a fucking mystery to everybody. You know?
Well, we both agree that Hulk Hogan was a bitch.
He was a fun alias, but Stern also liked the other stuff, the more girly, dramatic. I think it was a Gilmore Girl. I think it was. I can't remember what the one he did before Alias, man, that he was a writer on.
Well, he was on the one
they were
with,
talking about
with Felicity.
Felicity. Thank you, Felicity. Stern loves Felicity, so yeah.
They have the same hair.
I just like that he just stole Dee Snider's hair, like. Straight up, he admits that. It's like, I just love Dee Snider's look. People said I look like Dee Snider, so I stole his hair, and then now I'm the one that's known for that hair. And Dee Snider
I like
isn't.
when Joey Ramone was on, and he's like, "We kind of look the same," and he did the same thing when Brian May was on. He's like, "We kind of look the same."
Yeah, I know. And they're like, sure.
It would have been good though if Brian May, Joey Ramone, and Howard Stern had a band together. I'm just saying that would have been a fucking funny looking band. You know?
Yeah. I don't have anything to add to that. Like,
nobody does. Nobody does. It's just like, wow.
If Howard got to sing backups, like, well, because Ramon can say, what would Howard? It gets keyboards. He's a keyboard.
Howard did some. He did what's that song? What's that church-ish sounding song? City in the
but if you
Sky?
got Joey Ramone in your band, I don't think Howard's gonna sing over Joey Ramone. Like, I don't think he would let himself. So.
Well, no,
I know. I'm really fan casting his band.
Brian May's on drums. We're flipping the whole.
We're reversing it. Okay.
Joey is on bass now.
Cowbell.
Yeah, just,
all right.
just changing it all up. And Dee Dee's still going to show up and rap because why not? You ever hear Dee Dee Ramone's rap album?
No.
Oh, if you want to team that, it pairs nicely with a Crispin Glover.
I'm already knee deep in Crispin Glover world.
yeah. If you ever just want something that pairs nice with Clowny Clown, I would suggest listening to that. Yeah,
he really would have been Tim Burton's Riddler, though.
Yeah,
he really would have
been. Yeah,
I also think Crispin Glover probably should have been the Joker role in Full Metal Jacket.
I also think he should be young Palpatine. Let's do it. Let's fucking start the Crispin Glover young. Well, I mean, young. I mean,
Acolyte young or
Acolyte young. 200 years before. No, but like you know.
Well, we have Ryan Johnson. He can act, right?
40-year-old Palpatine. Well, if you just put some red fucking flashing eyes on him.
What if he goes to Comic-Con dressed like that just to chill out like Shills? You know.
I wish I could get that Ruin Johnson guy just to be like, you know what, dude, I just want to level with you. I just want to tell you about my life. Like, I want to make a documentary about what it must be like. So like now here's my escape. My escape is Ryan Johnson evil. Ryan Johnson sucks. Like it's a weird existence. It's a weird persona.
Very weird existence.
Like Iron Sheik is what you should look at. Iron Sheik is fucking fun as fuck. And he gets to tell everybody to suck his dick, and he gets to say he's gonna fuck him in the ass to make him humble. It's just the way to do it.
He says things that people were afraid to say in the 80s. You got to understand. That's how someone who's living that life is just fascinating to watch from all sorts of angles. I don't aspire to be the Iron Sheik, but what a fucking crazy dude.
Yeah. Well, as a teenager, you know, like my main teenage job was working at a gas station, and the gas station did all kinds of illegal stuff. And there was like a lot of Arab dudes that all worked together that all owned gas stations that would like go to like these like lunches. I got to go to them a couple of times with them. Like they like lobster for lunch and shit. And it was super fun. But those guys, man, boy, it was like Borat, like at times, like how the drop of a dime, like they would just go into rants about
should have been in a Borat movie.
Gypsies and shit. It was like fucking
Don't you
crazy.
think Iron Sheik should have been in a Borat?
Yeah,
too?
yeah, he should be like Borat's like fucking manager. Or
He
something.
he wouldn't look. I don't think he'd know it was a movie. Like, I'm being serious. I really think that man lost the discernibility of reality. Like, I think he lost it long ago.
But yeah, he was as a kid, not even joking. He and Nikolai Volkov were like my favorite wrestlers. I was like a very small little kid.
They were great.
I loved them. Yeah, like as bad guys, they were just like the best bad guys. And they were so
Well, the
hilarious.
crazy part was he's like Iranian, and they made him be Iraqi which is crazy because they're sworn enemies at the time.
Yeah,
but you know he needs the money, so him and Slaughter go out there and play that crazy fucking role. Like,
yeah. And then now here we are with a generation of men who think wrestling is still real, and that Ruin Johnson is responsible, and that Kathleen Kennedy is fighting Jon Favreau, director of The Chef or whatever that shit is fighting the producer of E.T. over control of Return of the Jedi Part 3.
He directed Zathura, which I really like. I love to tell my friends who love Jumanji, I'm like, Zathura is better. And like, yeah! They just that fucking, my wife hates that. I'm like, no, I love it. Zathura is better.
Hey, as a shill, I'm gonna go against my own programming right now and say, how did you fuck up Cowboys and Aliens? How did you fuck
that
up?
Is the big look. I actually did some research on that, and it's actually came down to, because Brian Grazer and Ron Howard produced that whole thing. That came down to Grazer wanted one thing, Favreau wanted another, and Ron Howard wanted something else entirely. So nobody could agree.
Wanted his hair back, and I understand.
And it just looks, that trailer's so good. And you're like, this would be great. Outgunned, but they got one laser weapon. And so then you just got this great Western where they're using like, crazy cowboy tactics against aliens. But nope. No. And that's just one of those things where nobody on the producing side and studio side could agree on what it should be.
Yeah.
Sorry to say it. Zathura was not good. Cyrus was like 80 when it came out. What would he know?
Well, he's like 350 years old.
He's like, it was no animal crackers.
Yeah.
Buster Keaton would have done that role way better. Like, all right, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, my whole point is that like, is even Jon Favreau couldn't make Cowboys and Aliens good. You think he could actually like suplex Kathleen Kennedy? You think he could Jimmy the Superfly Snuka that chick?
You think Kathleen Kennedy does those leg moves that Black Widow would do in a movie around him, and then like throws them over with her legs?
I heard Kathleen Kennedy walks into the boardroom like the Bushwhackers.
I saw them once at a hotel for like SummerSlam or something like that, right? In LA. And we went because we were going to be at this hotel promoting it. It was like built in the convention center. And it was a pancake eating thing. And they ate all these fucking, they were just like, it's the dumbest fucking thing ever. Yeah. And I was like, those guys are the best. They should be on Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like shit like that.
I remember these punks that I knew who were kind of cool, but they were really into, like Danzig and shit like that. And I was like, are you guys supposed to be like Axe and Smash? They hated that. But,
I always thought the Bushwhackers should have played one of like Peggy Bundy's wanker, like because her family's the Wankers.
Yeah,
it's true. It should have been like her cousins or like their twin stepbrothers or something. So.
I thought of a very important Married with Children life story I needed to tell you about. When my father married his ex-wife now, she banned Married with Children from her house.
Of course.
And years later, as I would grill her, this is where I got a lot of my interviewing tactics was from just bothering her. Her ex-husband, one of the strippers, in one of the episodes, like Bud would just have like a girl who shows up and she's like smoking hot in like a mini skirt, and like, how did Bud do it? It turns out they were all strippers from outside LA. They just would go to strip clubs and pick up hire the girls to do that on the show. And so it turns out that her ex-husband had been having parties, and it was all girls from Married with Children,
of
who were
course,
strippers, and you could like literally pay to have a Married with Children package of the married girls in Married with Children as your strippers. And so she really hated that. She really hated Married with Children. And but it just it's
the premise for the new Scream movie. That's why she started murdering all those kids. By the way, I just realized that the voice of Ghostface is Mojo Jojo. Didn't put that together.
Wait, who?
The actor who did the voice for Ghostface and Scream did Mojo Jojo on Powerpuff.
Oh, okay.
Same guy.
Yeah, I never got into the Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer era of horror films, where they were like explaining story structure on screen and like acting like they were better than everybody about it. I'm like, don't act just like because you cashed all the checks.
Wes Craven.
I know,
Craven, though,
but it was
on,
after he cashed all the checks and the jig was up. He was like, oh well, gotta go postmodern with it for New Nightmare.
Come on, I love Scream 1. Like. When Henry Winkler opens the door and Wes Craven's in a Freddy fucking sweater mopping and he's got the fedora and he goes, "Hey Freddy, sorry to bother you." Like come on, dude. It's so good. The movie was originally called Scary Movie.
Yeah.
All the way through production, it was Scary Movie, and then Weinstein changed it. Yeah. And they were like, "No," and obviously it did well. But it's funny when my friend goes, "I get them confused with Scary Movie." I'm like, because it was Scary Movie.
Yeah.
I even like the sequel, man. I think
it just doesn't work for me though. As like if I look at it just as a document of this happened because of this and this is why it happened, fine. But as like I'm going to enjoy it like a horror film, I'm like, no.
I don't. Given the quality of horror films, I don't know what that means. So is it Psycho? No, it's a fun image comic. Like it's fun. I like when a Jamie Kennedy is sitting on a couch. Out loud is telling Jamie Lee Curtis, "Jamie, no, behind you, look behind you, there's someone behind you." And then there's literally someone behind Jamie Kennedy. That is just, you gotta align a lot of things to make that happen. Sure. I enjoy that.
Sure. No, I'm just saying as a slasher horror film, it just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't do what I needed to do. You know what I need? I need some people getting killed who deserve it. It does do that, I guess. But I used to pretty much just rent horror films for the boobies. There's that part of it too. Boobies have totally left horror films. You don't have to worry about it now. You just have to is it with kids? Like, oh, is it too bloody? It's pretty much where it's at because everybody's like,
I like it's small stakes. I like smaller stakes. I don't like what Freddy 1 gets the sense is he doing this all over the globe? How many kids around the world are simultaneously having Freddy? Well, he just terrorizes these little kids. I'm like, there's a whole nother. Or like the Chucky movies where there's dolls everywhere, and he's gonna.
I'm loving that. I'm loving the series. Have you watched it? The one on USA?
No, not a big Chucky fan.
Yeah, I am a Chucky fan. Not like a huge Chucky fan. I think the first Child's Play movie is a good film, like a good horror film. And after that, I'm like, okay, I'm just on because I want more. But the series, there's this moment, and I think it's the first episode where the main character is like a gay kid with the dad who doesn't understand him and wants to kick his ass all the time. And he's like an artist who takes dolls and builds these doll sculptures. I used to do that kind of shit. So I'm like, okay, I'm on board with this. And, but there's this moment where all the people in the town are horrible. Right. And Chucky whispers to the kid in his ear, go on stage. And Chucky goes on stage and they pretend that it's a ventriloquist act. And Chucky roasts everybody. And and then at the end, after he roasts everybody, he goes, "Fuck you, I'm out." And then the kid's just like, It has to walk off, and it's just so good. I loved it. I loved every
That's
second of
pretty
it. Yeah,
I'm just surprised they haven't done the Chucky movie where the premise is it's a hot toy collector who wants the perfect Chucky fucking doll, you know, and then they get all those guys.
It deals with that. The kid buys the doll because it's a collectible, and he's thinking about tearing it up for his art. Then he sees it's worth like $7,000 or $3,000 on eBay, and he starts like getting ready
Sid
to
from
sell
Toy
it.
Story.
Yeah, pretty much. He goes like ready to sell it, but then Chucky's obviously Chucky, and but yeah, I mean, it's not great, but it's good. You know what I mean? It's
I always wanted
effective
Toy Story, Child's Play 2 to be set in Toy Soldiers with Sean Astin, because he goes to a military academy. I'm like, but Toy Soldiers was, what if like a terrorist attack, but then you got Chucky, and then you need Chucky to defeat the terrorists at your military school. Now Chucky becomes an anti-hero, right?
Yeah.
And he teaches all the kids how to murder the fucking terrorists and shit, you know? Like, and then he creates a little legion of Chucky kids. Like, oh damn, see?
Yeah. The new one is doing like a thing where it's like Chucky's back in his hometown.
It's Die Hard with Chucky.
So
It's Die Hard with Chucky, where Chucky's in there, but he's the only one who could kill everybody. I like that. Damn, now I want that. Oh
no, I mean, really, it is worth checking out just to see if
checking out.
Check it out, guys.
It's totally worth checking out. Like
Check it out.
Check it out. August 4th, theater near you. Only in theaters.
Only on
You
USA.
better go see it in the theater. You're never gonna get to see it again. I like how they're treating going to the movie theater like America treated buying shit during 9/11 or only buying American in 1991. Like, if you don't go to the theaters, you're never going to be around. Like, oh fucking well.
I'm still getting fat as fuck eating Freedom Fries. Like, nothing's stopping me from that. Fuck you, Frenchies. This is about America.
Missed mistake with Freedom Fries. They should have dyed a third of the fries red and the other third of the fries blue and sold them in red, white, and blue fries.
Right. Hey, you know what? All I know is that the weapons of mass destruction were on my toilet in the end, thanks to those Freedom Fries.
I just like how the French, for hundreds of years, were the most ferocious fighters they had in Western civilization. And the one time they go, you know, maybe we don't want to kill another few million of our own people fighting this off. They're like, they never let them forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually like watching a thing about that, and like, you know, there were a lot of French people at the time, I guess, who were like kind of fascists and were like, oh, this is great. And that
same thing happened in Poland.
And that led to a lot of the ease of the surrender was the fact that the fascists were like, oh, we're welcoming it. They were so
Are
divided.
you saying that on the inside there were people who supported this?
Yeah. Right.
Perhaps they were wearing giant flags with Q on it. I don't know.
Well, maybe. I mean, those are Star Trek fans, right? The Q fans?
Yeah. I know, right? That's my age. I'm like, man, he's got a whole fucking annoying ass aim.
All right, guys.
Hold on. You think when he tells people I'm Q, now it's a whole nother thing, right? That actor. Poor guy.
Poor guy.
All right.
Yeah. I wonder if they kind of if Q's off the table.
Sherry
now.
Martel. That'd be great.
I loved my favorite one of my favorite wrestling events ever was Saturday night's main event, and Miss Elizabeth knocked out Scary Sherry because she had lead in her purse, and she slapped her with the
Well, that's
purse.
what she would need, because Sherry would have knocked the shit out of her.
Yeah.
It's not even close. Sherry Martel was the best. Beyond female, I think she was the best like manager of that. Like, she really went in on everything. When she was with Jimmy Hart, she wore the poodle dress, that honky tonk shit. She'd go out there and fucking cause all kinds of shit. She was just the most underrated talent of that generation.
Yeah.
And she was great.
And then we got China. All right. Anyways,
like the country.
China. Yeah, I wasn't watching wrestling then though. I pretty much stopped around like when like Ultimate Warrior became like the main dude. Like at the end, you know, Ultimate Warrior had like a second go, and like it was like all Undertaker
for a month. They had to get rid of him and bring back in Sid Justice because he wanted, it was his comic book. He wanted a lot of money. Vince said no. Then he said, buy my comic book. They bought his comic book, and then he still quit. And they fucking so he shows up and then disappears in like 3 months. It's hilarious. It's batshit crazy.
That's when I was like,
and by the way, if you want to know what it's like to have acid damage to your brain, go read the Ultimate Warrior comic book. It's fucking crazy.
oh yeah,
It is bad. He had this thing called Destucity, was like destiny and truth. I don't fucking know, man. It's the fucking weirdest.
keep going.
thing.
You're making a lot of sense to me right now.
Yeah, making a lot of sense. I'm surprised that the Cures haven't adopted his face mask at this point. You know?
Yeah. Also, like, it's cool when they have that dig vein in their arm.
If you just do this to the ropes really fast, they love you.
You get a dig vein in your arm. Do that, guys. That's cool. All right. We're gonna end the show because want to know the real reason why we're gonna end the show? Because this shit has to pee, and that's always a good enough reason for me. But we'll see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're lucky.
It's not about spaceships.
Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show.